all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
pullback
to
across
enter
the
long
trend.
trade.
Hello, crypto friends. Hope you're doing well this fine Friday. Currently staying in an Airbnb outside of Yosemite. I'll have to send some video your way tomorrow so you can check it out. It's a sweet spot with an outdoor tub. You know I like those baths. So a couple orders of business before we get into it. The first off is there's scammers obviously on our stuff, and they're on everybody's stuff, but they're on Twitter and they're on YouTube. So it's really important to use your head, obviously. If you get any messages from people that are posing to be us, first off, info@TheChartGuys.com is the email. Anything different than that shouldn't have any money transactions. I use other emails for communication, but that'll never be tied to money in any way. So people are making emails that are really, really close to ours. And in YouTube comments, they're soliciting, send $2,000 and we'll give you 40% back a week and give you one-on-one technical analysis, whatever. It's very easy. Well, I shouldn't say that. For a lot of people, it's very easy to see as a scam, but it's definitely going to get some people. So I want to give that alert out there. Also, starting June 1st, going to start doing a poll every month, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be given for daily videos, but we're going to do a vote and have two more. So months where, like EOS is running hot and there's a lot of volatility. So we'll switch up the coins essentially and allow the majority to win in terms of what we cover for that month. And maybe we'll change it up. Maybe we'll do it once every 2 weeks. We'll see how it goes. Just a new idea and a little bit more reacting. And really it was because Litecoin was boring, but we'll see if Litecoin picks it up, because usually when we threaten Litecoin with leaving the videos, some action usually comes. Last time it was the late pay action. So we'll see if that happens again. Where we stand right now, we're going to start on the longer term time frames, and then we'll zoom in for a closer glimpse. As we know, we're still looking for the weekly higher low in this equilibrium. For Bitcoin, anything above 6,450 will maintain that equilibrium, but there's no sign of it at this point. We're down near the low of the week, down near the low of this pullback, and we're still patiently waiting for the bulls to give us signs of that higher low. We'll be very confident that higher low is in when the daily chart gives us a higher low and a higher high, changing that trend. And that hasn't happened yet, obviously. So the daily chart for Bitcoin, we're pulling back and we're tightening. We're just trading sideways patiently here, and it's multiple inside bars currently forming, although this candlestick obviously just started trading fairly recently. So we're going to be looking for a break in the tight range on the hourly chart soon, and then we're going to be looking for a break of the tight range on the daily chart soon as well. If we get a bear break, the odds that we see, let's see, the low is 7,269. If that is a bear break, I'm going to anticipate a break of 7,000 to be a potential climax, where we look for the temporary bottom to be set and for a more significant bounce to follow through. And the reasoning for that is because it's just a round psychological level that will be very close by, and the daily RSI is going to be down at about 30 and just below 30 if that bear break does occur. So that's a scenario many people are waiting for. They are waiting for that daily oversold RSI. And we look back historically, the last bounce that we had for the last weekly higher low, that daily RSI did touch right at 30. So we're close to that. We're down at 34. One more leg down would get us down towards that 30 number. So the 4-hour time frame continuing to tighten as well, similar to the hourly. And we can see that we have our low of the pullback, our high of the bounce. Again, rejecting from exponential resistance, this 12 period. Then we had the higher low, lower high, higher low. And here we are trading very tightly in this range. So support is 7,368. Resistance is 7,546, and we're looking for a break of this range sometime overnight. The bulls are on the verge of a MACD cross, which would be a great sign. We know that this bull MACD cross has given some really nice signals in the past, so bulls would love to see a break of 7,546 and a bull MACD cross, and then we'll watch these exponential resistances to see if they can become support, as the bulls ideally want to get those levels as support. And we did this all on the hourly time frame. It may sound like deja vu because this is exactly what we've been watching for. And we initially on the bounce started forming an equilibrium, rejecting from hourly exponential resistance. And as soon as that hourly exponential resistance becomes support, which it hasn't really clearly happened at this point, then we zoom out to the 4-hour time frame and play the same game on that different time frame. So again, just clearly tightening up. Volume is really dropping off, and we're going to see a spike in volume and a break from this tight range, likely overnight tonight, which would mean for me on the East Coast, it's 9:45 p.m. on the East Coast, 6:45 on the West Coast. So looking for a break sometime in the next 12 hours or so. So that's what we're keeping an eye on. If we get a bull break, we have plenty of resistance levels to be watching. Again, that 7546 level, followed by 7662 and 7735. And bulls need to get over all three of those resistances in order to be feeling comfortable in terms of a more significant bounce following through. And we can draw a trend line there. All depends on your style of what you want to be watching. For me, it's just the concrete price levels that are not going to change as the range tightens. If we get a bull break, we'll be watching for the hourly exponential 12 to cross the 26. That hasn't happened. We rejected right here on that dump to the downside. So it's close to following through. If we get the bull break, it will likely follow through. So that's where we stand on Bitcoin. It's going to lead the way. The setup for Ethereum is a little bit different. Weekly time frame, again, we're looking for the higher low. No doubt it's going to form compared to 360. It's just a question of where. So again, little sign that the bounce is following through, and we're down at the low of the week. So not happening yet is the bottom line. We had the bullish reversal candlestick, and it was not confirmed. We have to keep that in mind. Here's an example where the bullish reversal candlesticks got confirmed and saw multiple days of follow through. Here's a bullish reversal candlestick with no confirmation, and it's a potential bear flag at this point that we need to be cautious of, because if Bitcoin breaks its inside bar bearish, then Ethereum is likely going to be a bear flag on this daily time frame and see another leg down as well. So if Bitcoin breaks 7,000, we're going to be looking for Ethereum to break 545 and drop down into the low 500s. So we have to be prepared for that scenario as well. 4-hour time frame for Ethereum, a bit of a different shape, and we got a lot further on this bounce as the relative strength of Ethereum compared to Bitcoin did start to favor Ethereum significantly on this move up, but now we're catching back up where we pulled back a little bit more just today. But essentially what we're looking at is the low, high, and here's our higher low. So it's not as developed in the tightening pattern, meaning Bitcoin's going to break its tighter pattern first, and then we're going to be looking for Ethereum to follow that same direction. And so if Bitcoin gets a bull break of its equilibrium tonight, that doesn't mean that Ethereum is going to be able to make it all the way back to 616. We're going to be looking for Ethereum to make a bull break as well, but we could top out at 600 again because of where we are standing relatively compared to where Bitcoin is. So here we are rejecting from these exponential resistances, the exponential 12 on the 4-hour time frame. And again, look at the hourly chart. Every initial bounce attempt that we make, we are battling these exponential resistances. So once we turn those levels into support, like we did back here, when we were up at 616, we said, okay, we're over the 12-period exponential resistance, and we zoom out to the 4-hour, and we say, okay, now we got to battle it here, and here we are rejecting. So, and then if we get a bull break on these 4-hour time frames, we're going to zoom out again, and we're going to go to the daily chart, and these exponential resistances are going to be the next resistance level that we watch on the daily chart as well. So again, I just want to stress, as I usually do, that the 12-period exponential and the 26 to back it up with their crosses is a really great guide on the hourly, 4-hour, and daily time frame. And I just go from one scenario to the next. Once something develops and we get it played out on a certain time frame, you zoom out and watch it on the longer term time frame. So that's where we stand on Ethereum as well, the 4-hour time frame. Currently, I scaled out a lot of positions on this last bull move. I sold 595, 604, 609, 614. So I'm back to 2/3 cash, 1/3 Ethereum, and very patient at this point. I'm not going to add any Ethereum to lower the cost basis of the bit that I have left unless we see Bitcoin flush under 7,000. In terms of a bull break, then I'll look to exit the last 1/3. And in the end, if we do get a bull break, if I were to sell the last 1/3 that I have at 600, it would end up being a small loss on the entire trade, which is enough that a solid bull trade could make back. So I'm perfectly fine with taking that loss if I need to, but I'm going to obviously be watching what Bitcoin does as well. And of course, a lesson for me in this scenario is don't trade when you are busy. Really, it's that simple. And I'm definitely realizing people that, I'm getting some empathy for you all that have full-time jobs or families or whatever you need to work with, trying to trade around this space, because again, I'm used to being able to commit whatever time I need to the computer. And now that, I've been at that conference and was trading in between with some hours, I would look once every 5 hours, which is very not normal for me. I'm looking once every hour if I'm in the middle of a trade. So it definitely makes it harder. There's no doubt about that. And I definitely learned a lesson. So if I take this loss, I'm going to learn that lesson. Hey, Dan, when you're traveling or busy or doing things, don't trade as much or scale back or be more cautious, all of those things. So always a lesson when you have a loss. And it's just important that we do not repeat those mistakes and progress forward, because that's how we improve as traders. Litecoin on the weekly time frame is looking for a higher low to form compared to 109.27. We're closer to a bear break on Litecoin than anybody else on the weekly time frame. So we do have to be watching that for any potential clues. The daily chart inside bar as well to be watching, same as Bitcoin. And we zoom into the 4-hourly time frame, and we have a bit of a different scenario here as well, a little bit more similar to Ethereum, high, low, and we ended up with a little bear flag here on the 4-hour time frame. There's another potential bear flag on the 4-hour time frame. So the bulls need to see a break of the lower high pattern on the hourly. You can see these are all lower highs where we see a bounce attempt and a rejection, and we pull back. So these are the resistance levels that the bulls would need to break to regain control in their favor and see an hourly bull MACD cross and a 4-hour bull MACD cross with a little bit more follow through. But there's just clear resistances on Litecoin that the bulls have to work through. But the macro version, if you're a swing trader or you're not, looking minute by minute, then that daily chart inside bar is going to give us a lot of insight on Bitcoin and Litecoin. So right now, it's just all about Bitcoin essentially. EOS has gotten a lot of, and this is why we're looking to do this vote now at the beginning of each month. And that's because there are coins like EOS that are the coin of the month. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe EOS is going to be a major player for the next 10 months. Who knows? But the bottom line is there's the coins that gain attention, gain hype, and gain volatility, which are great for trading. So definitely want to not just stick, with our heads in the sand and only cover the big three when there is other opportunity out there. Even though I personally am not going to be trading EOS, I will still cover it for you all. So we're looking for the weekly higher low to form. And at this point, we have a bit of a lower wick on this weekly time frame. So we're starting to say, okay, maybe that's our weekly higher low. Let's see some more detail. Daily time frame has to change the trend, and it hasn't done that yet. We have our low, high of the bounce was at 1288. Now we need the higher low and then continuation. After 1288, 1419 is the next resistance. And again, look at the exponential resistances here on this daily time frame. They're doing a great job of rejecting the price. We had the dump, we bounced and rejected from it once. The bulls made another attempt, they rejected from it a second time, and just now we rejected from it a third time. So we have to get over those exponential resistances to see a bull MACD cross on the daily, to break the daily downtrend, and to see the weekly higher low set. It's getting close, but it's not there yet. 4-hour time frame, we have a couple key supports. It's a really nice equilibrium here as well. Let's go through it. So we have the low, high of the bounce, higher low, lower high, higher low, and that's the range right now. So support is 1175 and resistance is 1248. That's the tightest range that I would be watching on this current setup. The hourly chart can give you a little bit more details. We have multiple hourly inside bars forming, so that could be something you acted on as well. But if you wanted to be more cautious, eliminate a lot of risk, and eliminate some reward, would be to wait for this 4-hour pattern to give us a clear break. So that's what we're keeping an eye on EOS, tightening up just like Bitcoin and looking for a break. And it's definitely correlated to everything else, but the bounce is more significant. The bounce from the low on EOS, we went from 1034 all the way up to 1288. So that's a 20% bounce, whereas, Ethereum bounced something like 7% and Bitcoin maybe even a little bit less than that. So again, these altcoins act as almost, when they're correlated to Bitcoin, and BCH does this a lot, it's almost like a leveraged ETF like we trade with stocks. And what a leveraged ETF is it's something that tracks something else, but it magnifies the move. So XBI or LABU is a biotech ETF that is leveraged 3 times. So in the biotech sector, XBI goes up 1%, LABU goes up 3%. So there are altcoins that get in favor with volume and volatility, and they act like that relative to Bitcoin. So being on top of that and having that ability for more volatility is obviously ideal as traders. So that's where we stand as we head into tonight. And in terms of do good things, let's see, it's a nature-themed weekend for me out here in the woods. Pretty astounded I get a pretty decent internet connection, which is nice. But just in point of treating ourselves and going to new places. And I always stress, spending money on ourselves is great. It's something that we should do. And I suggest doing it with experiences rather than material objects in many instances. And, it's exciting. It's a goal to work towards. Set a goal of, I want to save this amount of dollars so I can go here, a place I've always wanted to go, or do this thing that I've always wanted to do. And that's extra motivation. And that can work to drive you to study harder or try harder and get your head in the zone, things like that. But it's a really gratifying experience when you work towards that goal and then you meet that goal and then are able to, again, treat yourself and have that experience. And whatever you choose to do, whatever you're into, that's definitely something to have in mind as, we're looking to do this to accrue capital and build wealth And of course, with that capital and wealth, we need to enjoy our lives because life is short. I appreciate you all. I will see you tomorrow, and I'll have some hummingbirds and views and rivers at the end of the video tomorrow, perhaps. I'll do my best. See you then.